G'day guys, Jake here, coach of Dunkley's Donuts, and as always, welcome to Hat Chat. We're here, episode 157, coming to you after the round 17 review, and I'm here with two of your favourite Hat Chatters this week. We are here both on YouTube and on Spotify and on Apple Music and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And DC, you are here doing God's work in the background. You can't do much about my face, of course, now for those on YouTube, but hopefully the voice is good enough for those listening on audio. How are you this week?
Yeah, I'm going all right, mate. As I have put in my byline this week, I'm slightly cold because Canberra. But apart from that, going pretty well. My team actually moved up for once. Second time in 8 weeks, my team has moved up. Only a couple of hundred spots, but moved up anyway.
A good week. We'll take that as a win. Nathan, are you also cold? I know you're not in Canberra, but Australia is going through a bit of a cold snap.
I am also cold because Melbourne. So, yes, I am also cold, but I didn't want to make a big deal about it and have it as my byline. But yes, I am cold. Are you cold as well, Jake?
I am cold because Jake, not necessarily because of Adelaide. It's just how I run things. But
also just wearing a shirt, so you can't really whinge about being cold.
Well, I mean, you don't know if I'm wearing pants. We discussed this on Wednesday night.
Thank you. That's been Hat Chat. Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Well, Nathan, you did reference your byline. You didn't mention cold, but you did mention you were formerly known as the second best coach of the week. Is that a good or a bad reflection on how the boys went?
A terrible reflection on the fact that it was just a bad week for me. Who knew that having 3 rookies on field might not pay off and pay dividends for you? So yeah, not a great week, but captained 160 when you ignored the 126 VC and decided to captain the Wang for his 160. That still wasn't enough to get me anywhere remotely nice. So yeah, ranked outside in the 7,000th, and I am going down as you're going up, Jake, and it is terrifying me. So I'm just getting the groundwork out of the way that I am formally known as the second best coach because I can't deal with it if you beat me this year. And
the score this week?
Who could know? 6, maybe 7. 2265. Honestly, thought it was way worse than that at some point. So I'm pretty happy with the 2265, all things considered.
I'll take the good week. My boys came in as the second best coach of the week. Not the second best coach overall, Nathan. You do still hold that title with a 2301 and a 2303, 2 points ahead of Sanch. I was a little bit worried when I saw a 2-point deduction came through, but fortunately Sanch copped that one too. So I did manage to beat Sanch for the week, which is nice. Not that he's here to have me brag to him in person, but hopefully he listens and sends me a nice little message. And yeah, up a few hundred spots. I think about 500, 11,549. So yes, for those that are hoping to hold on to the Jake ranks, it is creeping ever so closely to 10K, but DC, you did top score for the week and a nice little move up as well, as you mentioned.
Yeah, 23. So nice round number there. But yeah, still a 10,000 round rank. But considering didn't captain Naz in the end, ended up switching to Dawson because I realized I didn't have a loop. So kind of had to use the VC early in the round. So I ended up taking that score, which cost me a few points. And then obviously the Whitfield disaster meant that I was stuck with that on field and had Hugo Hulkhan sitting on the bench with an 80 with no way of getting it on field, having it already looped. So yeah, not quite the perfect round, but at least it's moving in the right direction.
I think good result all in all. And as you mentioned, 23-23, a round number, the roundest.
I didn't realize I was going to say symmetrical, but then I'm like, no, it's not symmetrical. So just like a nice repeated number.
A nice round number without the presence of a 0.
I did score with a 0.5 this week. I did score with a 0.5. So, mine weren't round numbers.
Content creators for the week, boys. I'm Bales. I hope you're listening. I know you are because you are our number one fan, of course. Again, with a tough matchup. I cracked 2,300. I think only 5 cracked 2,300. And again, I copped an L. So I'm ranked 17th now. I'm well and truly out the finals race, even though I think I'm 8th or 9th overall. So absolutely devastating. The fantasy fanatics are absolutely nervous about what I could do if they were to give me good fixtures. So I'm going to be considering my options legally in 2027. But you boys were still in the race. So DC, hopefully a nice win over a fellow Canberran, I believe.
Yes, took out the Canberra derby against Mini Monk. Not only one game in Canberra this weekend, but two. So took care of him by about 100 odd points. So that was a pretty handy win. It's going to be sitting in fifth still with a 11-6 record.
Yes, and Mini Monk lost both games in Canberra this weekend with Freo's surprise loss to the Giants. So not a great weekend for him. And Nathan, after me knocking off one of the ball boys last week, you went and had a loss, I believe, to him this round.
Yeah, I decided that, he's in 19th place. Decided that he might need a little win. I didn't particularly need it because I'm already in the top 8 and I didn't want to risk jumping up into the top 4. So thought I would just be, keep it pretty consistent there and stay there in 7th. So yeah, big loss. At about half time of the game, it looked like I might get there if JHF had a poor second half and Rowan Marshall had a brilliant last 15 minutes. And then the opposite of both of those things happened. So yeah, lost by 26 in the end, but probably fair and representative of the state of my team.
Yes, well, the only other thing we thought we'd cover here, we already mentioned the seeded leagues, as those playing along at home should know by now. The plan was the top 10K ranks. Of course, that has been absolutely smashed out this year by some absolutely rogue, never seen before, historic all ranks across the board for everyone but me. This is pretty standard. So I think we're looking at what that might look like, noting that I think about 40% of those, 40 to 50% of those in the seeded leagues right now are outside of 10K DC. So I think it might be a little bit of a watch this space. I know in my league, shout out to League 9, I am comfortably in the relegation zone, even though I should be in the top 4, top 5 for overall rank. So not sure how that's happened. Also awful fixturing there, but I don't know that I can blame us the same way I can blame the fantasy fanatics, mate. So how is League 1 tracking? That is, of course, the benchmark of all things fantasy.
Yeah, League 1's probably going better than the majority, I would say. We've only got 4 of our 16 coaches outside 10K at the moment, and quite a few. We've got 8 inside 5K, so there's a few having reasonable seasons, all things considered. But I think last year we had 4 or 5 at least in the top 1,000 at this stage of the year. And at the moment, it's only Nick who's come on the podcast a few times. He's still up there, sitting at 633rd overall, so he's having a good season. But yeah, I'm sitting 8th overall on points and 3rd on the ladder. So fixtures have gone my way in the league this year.
Standard DC swaying things his way. That's what he gets for organising these things. But let's get to our awards for the week. We'll move on to the Baznas. Yeah, we don't care about Nathan.
Just not going to talk about his league.
Nathan, no, because Nathan
or something.
No. Well, Nathan, from my reference point, typically forgets about his league, forgets to commission it. So I just assumed he wouldn't know where he's positioned.
How dare you? I know where everyone is ranked in my league. Give me a person from my league, and I'll tell you where they're ranked.
Nathan
Harry T. 7,209. Got it in one. Don't mind me looking off the screen to find out that out. Harry T. So we have in League 4, the best league. We have 6% of our coaches ranked in the top 400. So that's not bad. So yeah, just Harry. Everyone else is outside the top 5,000. We have 10 outside 11,000. 9 of them aren't beating Jake, which is the important metric. Not great for League 4, but I'm confident we'll all come home. Mainly Lemon, who's sitting in last in League 4.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, Nathan, because we have decided, without Jake knowing, that instead of going with the 10,000 rank cutoff this year, we're just going to make Jake the cutoff. So
is it going to be like whichever is greater? So 10,000 or Jake's rank? Is that what you guys going to do?
It's whichever's greater. So
it'll be Jake's rank. So that's going to be the cutoff. You just have to beat Jake, and then you get to stay in the leagues.
So what's the current cutoff, Jake?
The current cutoff is 11,549th. And just to be clear, Does that mean it is impossible for me to stay in the leagues because I can't beat my own
Well
score?
done, Jake. Yes, that is
or is
correct.
it greater than or equal to? Can we sneak that one in?
Nope. We'll see how you do. You've now
Yikes.
got,
All
you've
right.
also still got to finish.
It'll be up to our discretion. So no, you won't be in the leagues next year.
I'm glad I get a vote in this. Basnas Award, boys. Let's talk about the good start of the week. A couple of belters, although relatively mid-round from our premiums. But DC, you're going to give it to a man who kind of has been a little bit on the nose for the last few weeks, but has put up a decent score against a pretty tough matchup.
Yeah, there's a guy who I, to be honest, didn't really want in my team and ended up bringing him in the week that Lachie Whitfield first missed as the late out. So what round was that? That was round 11, I think. And since then, he's gone 106, 91, 125, 69, typical Bailey Dale lower score, then 101, and then this week 138 against Sydney. So not the team you would expect him to do it against. So he's actually been a pretty good trade in, considering I think he was in the mid 850s or something at that stage. And he's now, I think, in the top 6 or so highest priced defenders. So he's on a good little run.
Nice. Very nicely done. I'm going to go with Brodie Grundy, bounce back with Peter Laddams outside. Maybe I should go to Brodie Grundy's first half because he was on track for an absolute monster 95 at halftime. Second half was a lot quieter. I did call out on the Wednesday night show that I thought he would have been a great VC option, and he was. So he did score 260 for me. Of course, Nathan, though, I did not have the guts like you to roll the dice for the man I was trading in for the week, who seems like the only logical choice for the real Basnas Award.
Absolutely. Screaming from the top of your lungs. Wang was fantastic. And honestly, I think 160 probably unders for what he could have done there. I think that was with a heavy dose of attention for quite a lot of that game as well. So was terrific. And yeah, shout out to Holmesy as well. We decided to ride or die together with the Wang C. I decided to ride or die with him after realizing I was already locked out of my trades and therefore had to see him because I hadn't. There was no way to loop the 126 VC, but that's irrelevant. I was not kissed at all. So yeah, he gets the Basnas award for me, as he is 50% of Basnas. I just realized I VC'd and C'd Basnas. That makes me happy.
Well played. Good stuff, Nathan. Always doing it for the bit. We appreciate that for you. The Milligan Award, though, DC, a few premiums in this list, unfortunately, and this is a man I never want to see in this award, but I don't blame you for giving it to him.
Yeah, my team this week was a bit more 60s than the Beatles. A lot of low scores, and Bont was probably the most shocking one, really. A low 60s score from a guy who's been in very good form and did cop a bit of attention, but just sort of seemed to lay down his sword very early in that game. So, yeah, disappointing way to sort of start off the round, and didn't get a hell of a lot better from there. Maybe the Saints came aside.
That's it. Another 60 for your award here, Nathan.
Yeah, Sam Walsh with a 69. I just think he's been one of those players that everyone has wanted to trade out of their team, but just with the carnage that we've had to go, look, at least he's there and at least he's playing. But probably been one of the more disappointing picks to start the season. And I think that, if he was a forward or even a defender at that sort of price, we'd probably be saying that it was one of the worst picks of our starting teams. I think that just been very, very underwhelming. And there's a lot of different players around that price bracket and a lot of different ways you could use that cash. And so, yeah, I'm very, very excited because he doesn't look like he's going to be leaving my team as well for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So I look forward to 2027 when I won't have him in my team.
Well, I haven't been as upset with him as it sounds like you have, but he hasn't hit the ceilings and lights that we were absolutely hoping.
I just have higher standards, Jake.
Yeah, that does check. Well, I'm actually, speaking of high standards, I'm going to give it to Hugo Hall-Khan, which people go, that's really unfair. He's a rookie. He's only played 4 games. Well, guess what? I'm not even going to give it to this week's Hugo Hall-Khan. I'm going to give this to last week's Hugo Hall-Khan, who you probably all remember when Noah disappointed a lot of you, didn't score for anyone. It didn't affect me last week. He was never scoring. He was never counting for me, so it was fine. But this week, it meant that I put him on the bench. And by putting him on the bench, I was going to loop him on with the E. And then somehow, and I'm going to say somehow because I don't believe I would have done something so silly, I ended up putting both of my midfielders with my emergency. So then I couldn't loop him on. but it's actually his fault because if he played well last week, I just would have played him on the field and it wouldn't have been an issue in the first place. I then had to change which loop I was bringing in. I then had to roll the dice with another loop. It screwed my whole plans for the weekend. It upset me Sunday morning. And if he played well last week, it wouldn't have happened. So Hugo, Noah, do better. You scored well this week, but I couldn't even count your score. So yeah. It's a 7-day late Melican Award. I think that might be a first, DC. I hope I'm record breaking in some capacity here.
Just sounds like you're giving the award to someone else, basically for you making not one but two mistakes.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have made either mistake if he'd scored well last week because I would have had confidence in him. So is it my fault I made the mistakes or his fault for allowing me to make the mistakes?
Can I give an additional Melican Award this week?
It can't be to me, though.
It's to DC for being the absolute most miserable person to ever exist in a group chat and the most kissed at the same time. On that Friday game, he was crying that he didn't have HHK, that he'd ruined that everything was awful. He had Grundy go 130, Dow go 138, and Jai Strong was only on 55 and HHK was on 70. So he's going, this is the worst decision I've ever made. This is awful. Why am I so unlucky? They're not scoring the exact same. No, I think I was underselling how just grumpy you were in that chat. And it was completely the fun. And then instead of doing the thing of like, sorry, boys, that was a bit over the top, went, I'm so happy. This is fantastic. And then rubbed it in our faces. So, yeah.
I mean, none of that actually happened. What actually happened was that because Sarong was playing a quarter before Hugo Hulkan, I had a quarter to loop him on, and he had about 24 or something in the first quarter. So I looped him on. So then HHK is sitting on the bench with no E on him. I can't get him on field once he starts playing. And then, of course, Sarong slows down horribly. Hulkan has a crazy first half. He's going incredibly well. And then it gets to three-quarter time. Sarong's finished his game on 80, and HHK is on 80 at three-quarter time. And then started the last quarter quite slowly. And I've said this would be the funniest thing ever if they both ended up on the same score. And they did. So then I had to put in the group chat, this is the funniest thing ever, because you don't want to be a liar, do you?
And after that 1 minute story, I think a few of our listeners may disagree, unfortunately. But I will also recall that he should get the Melican Award for having a 0 point last quarter. Not good enough, Hugo. Anyway, let's move on quite swiftly to a quick.
Hugo is so confused as to whether we like him or not right now.
And he also is confused if I think his name's Hugo or Noah. And it depends what I'm feeling in the moment. It depends when he's in trouble, he's Hugo. That's the thing, right? You're the full parent. I need the middle name. Anyway, a quick thank you to our partners for this year. One of our partners, anyway, and that is our friends at Game Day Squad. And I'll give them a quick thank you because the boys, the Dunkley's Donuts this week, performed pretty well all in all. We put up tons in all players bar 2. And unfortunately, DC, he's definitely not getting a Melican Award, but it is worth a mention. Jack Ross, again, I'm feeling for the bloke. I really hope that he can get through, another concussion after a couple of weeks out is not the way you want to see anyone go down. We wish him all the best. Although it was the only reason I didn't have an amazing week in Game Day Squad this week. So I'm slightly upset, but not upset at him because I wouldn't dare be upset at a player for their second concussion in short term. But a big shout out to our friends there. A great week otherwise for Dunkley's Donuts. We're trying to make our march back to the top 100 now. We've got our account back. So make sure you tune in. If you've got 6 weeks, you don't get anything for beating me in Game Day Squad other than presumably more cards to improve your team. So jump on in, use the code HADCHAT if you haven't started already, and get yourself ready for the 2027 season. But our first question of this episode comes from friend of the show. You guessed it, it's Bruddles. He said,
basically the fourth Beatle now, Bruddles.
No, I don't know about that.
He's overtaken Sanch. He's on the podcast more than Sanch, that's for sure.
Well, he's getting mentioned more than Sanch at the very least. Hey, leg ends. Will the premium injury curse never end? Do you think it has amplified mid-price mistakes this year due to the reduced ability to move underperformers on? I wish I had a joke to go with this, but honestly, I'm just tired. And Bruddles, I think that was the most real and honest you've been with us, and for that, I thank you. Okay. I think he's okay. I think he's all of us at heart. But DC, obviously, there's not something we can specifically answer here, other than I do think it has. The reality of the amount of injuries we've had means that we are making more forced trades.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has been a tough year for injuries. Certainly, yeah, one of the worst, if not the worst, I can recall. I think probably will the injury curse ever end? I believe the AFL releases an injury report at the end of every season. I would be interested this year to see whether injuries have been up across the board, because if they continue to rise, you generally see that the AFL will do something about it. So we might see some sort of change to the way in which the game is played to try and reduce injury risk. But you've still got like the Frios of the world that I think this week did not have a player on their injury list as well. So it does come down a little bit to management of the players, obviously a big luck component as well. And then, yeah, just unfortunately, a lot of our premiums this year have got injured. Like, you can almost sort of count on a couple of hands how many really highly owned relevant premiums have got through to this point of the season without missing a week.
Yeah, it's been a year for it, and I agree with you. It'd be very interesting to see how it comes out in the wash. And well done to the Freo performance staff. The strength and conditioning team will be getting paid double next year by all the other teams trying not to have such significant injury lists. And Nathan, a question for you. Not sure why I'm throwing you this one, but Andrew says, at what point in the season do you just give up? Enjoy listening to the podcast each week. Keep up the great work, fellas. Cheers and beers. So, unlike Braddles, we're aware that Andrew is still in good spirits, so that is good. I guess the question is, at what point in the season do you just give up? And is it not related to your reference point in Jake's ranks?
I think the definition of give up is different. I think the definition of give up, meaning stressing about your team, we're at that point now. If you're sort of outside the top 2,000 or 3,000, you can comfortably get to that point where take the stress out of your teams this week. But this is where you get to make a call. Do you want to try win for leagues? Do you want to try, get as high up as you can finish? Or are you just trying to go for absolute let's swing? And wouldn't it be funny if I put the C on Caleb Daniel and he went 245 this week? It's definitely that time of the season now where do what makes it fun for you. Join in on the pods. Ask questions that are fun as well, but just don't take it too seriously. And they'll be watching the scores tick along if you don't need to as much there. Maybe you don't need to catch a Gold Coast or a GWS game at this point. Actually watch football for enjoying it. Don't do a Bales and say, I'm not going to watch the grand final rematch because my players aren't playing in it. Actually come back to the love of football.
I think in 157 episodes, Nathan has never given better advice. That was succinct, it was detailed, and it was spot on, Nathan. I'm impressed.
Sorry. Spade.
Back to regular programming. Question for you, DC. Bondsville Wizard. We got quite a few about this player this week. I think he's forced trade, or at least conceivably for a large number of teams. Hey, just a Whitfield question. Hold or trade, which is not the appropriate terminology. So therefore, I must cease answering the question. No, yes, trade or spade here for you, DC, nice and early. And in Bondsville Wizards' case, still has HHK on field. So would need additional coverage if he was to hold.
Yeah, well, I think it makes it kind of hard to answer without that knowledge of what that coverage is. But if we're assuming that you don't have much there at all, then I think you kind of have to trade it. I don't think you want to be stuck with a 30 or something on field. If you've got HK on the bench, as I explained I do, then I think I'm in the boat of holding, and I will be holding at this point, unless we hear that he's not tracking well. He obviously does have a bit of history of concussion, so there is a risk that he might miss a few weeks at minimum. Hopefully not. But that's my main concern at this stage, is that you hold him for a week and actually misses another week or two as well.
Yeah, Nathan, what rookies, again, HHK on field for Bonsil, which rookies would you be comfortable playing and holding Whitfield, or is there not any? I guess you might have an option with DPP to move someone into the midfield or something similar.
For me, it's Farrow or HHK, probably the big two that I'd be comfortable with.
Sarong? I
will actually be able to loop go. Yeah, Sarong. Sorry, I forgot that non-kissed coaches don't have Sarong. I'm actually going to be able to try loop Gota on that Friday night for those of you that have him. I think potentially against Collingwood could get a sort of say 65 setting because I already have HHK on field as well. So for me, it's probably only those two. I will be trying to hold Whitfield, but that's just because I have 3 rookies on field, and if I'm trading out Whit, then it's just chaos for me next week as well. So I've got to hold it because I've got no other options, and I may as well have short-term pain for long-term gain because I've, as I mentioned earlier, given up.
No, I don't mind it. Again, pending any news we have about him. I'm in the fortunate spot that you boys know that I've got 23 and 24 somewhat on my bench if you're counting HHK. So I'm going to be looping Kirch with HHK, who are both on my bench to cover Whitfield for the week. So if you can do something like that, get a bit creative with a loop, I think that's a perfect spot. So I'm definitely holding Whitfield, but I appreciate that there's a world where people would trade. Just to clarify, Thomas's question for you, Nathan, was Sir Ruler, Nathan, does he hold Whitfield and play HHK or do other trades? If he was to trade Whitfield, it would be to Naz in that scenario.
That's where it gets tricky because I think Naz already went 130 plus against Port this week. I think that if you've got no other issues, if you've got 22 premiums on field, and there's, for me, it's you're either getting in a Will Ashcroft or Cozzy Pickett this week into one of your lines where you've got a rookie still on field, and if you've got 22, then I'm very comfortable going Whitfield to Nas this week. But
Yes,
Whit does have Essendon the week after, I think. So that's the concern about trading him out, is you're probably going to want him back in next week.
Yes, well, Cameron has highlighted that, DC, and I have to ask this one to you because he started with, thanks for making Trade or Spade the last segment. It means I can turn it off without missing anything. He said, as for the question, which might not get answered because of my first statement, is Whitfield a hold due to the Essendon matchup this week? So I think Cameron's going to feel really torn here, DC, because Nathan's just called out what he's noticed. He's probably feeling aligned, but has also thrown a lot of shade at Trade or Spade. But before Nathan
DC,
gets
don't you dare answer this. Don't you dare answer this.
What do you
think? I mean, I mainly put this in just to see what Nathan's reaction would be, but
my reaction is I'm going to move Trade or Spade sooner. Trade or Spade's coming in immediately. It's going to be
as soon as the theme song finishes.
Yeah, g'day guys.
Welcome to Trade or Spade.
Welcome to Trade or Spade, and then we replay the intro. I like it.
I mean, I've got this exact scenario with HHK as cover, so I'll be holding.
Simple as that. I think the Essendon matchup, if you can hold with decent cover, happy for you to hold. If you can't, or if you haven't got Naz, those are probably your options, which is why Pax has said, boys, if we don't have Naz, do we just fuck ourselves? Which is an aggressive and maybe overzealous thought. I mean, Pax, you can trade him in. You still have 2 trades this week. So find a way, I think, would be my suggestion. And if you have Whitfield, you have an easy way to get there. So, interesting way to describe it. But hey, I'm with you, Pax. Meanwhile, Wazer, boys, has started with, hey, leg ends, I'm beating Jake by 5,503 spots. So yes. I don't think there's a question. It was just a comment.
Good on you.
Actually, not only is there a question, he's also given us a poem. So I apologize if I don't do this to justice, Wazer, but Thursday, Friday had a great start. Come Saturday, it all fell apart. Enter Captain Naz to make everything fine. I ended up on 23.99. So well done, Wazer. Also not a question, though, I might add. So I'm not sure where we're going with this.
Well, there's the second verse of the poem that you.
Oh, there's the second verse. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh, sorry.
Jake, classic Jake, not reading the run sheet. Classic Jake.
This doesn't rhyme. Wit for one.
I mean, maybe not a poem. Maybe it's just 4 lines that kind of look like a poem.
Is it one of these poem. Is it like when
this is just taking an actual question and just press enter in it each time? It's like, yeah, it's a poem.
It's like at school when you think a poem has to rhyme, but then you see slam poetry and you realize it doesn't. Wit for one, cover with Khan. Wit for 2, got an issue. Do I get Noble or Holmes? It's a no to the gnome. So I think what I'm taking out of that is he doesn't like Caleb Daniel. He doesn't want the gnome. Wit for 1, he's covering with HHK. If he's out for 2, he's got an issue. So does he need to get John Noble or Max Holmes. So I
It
think
really seems like it's a poem. I think it's just really shit.
I think
I'd like it. It's a good poem.
the first
Who
part
is
was
the gnome?
It's
Caleb Daniel.
Who
He
else?
doesn't
That
like
was
Caleb
not
Daniel.
clear.
All right. Well, after all that, quick whip round. Noble or Max Holmes, DC?
Holmes, I think. Noble's roll's just a bit up and down.
Nathan?
Holmes.
Yes. I'm strongly Holmes, although the injury concern had me panicked. But obviously, Scott was pretty happy with how he went. So we'll put the faith in that and say that he is absolutely fine. Anthony's question is then, who do I trade out for Bailey Smith? Is it Bont or Sam Walsh? You boys both gave your awards to those players this week, but they are still bona fide premiums as a whole. Are we comfortable with trading those names, DC, to Baz? Or are we looking elsewhere?
If you have all your rookies off field, then I think you can trade Walsh to Baz. I wouldn't be trading Bont. Bont's still averaging 103 for the season with an injury game.
He had 127 last week. He's up against the Eagles, and then he's got a couple of nice matchups, I think. So, yeah, it sucks, but hold fast with him because he's one of those players that will go 150 twice a season, and then his average will end up back at 106, 107. So hold fast because you don't want to miss out on him.
He's got the Eagles, then Suns, then Tigers. These next three. You're not trading it now.
A couple of nice matchups. Nope, agreed, boys. Simon Snouts' question, good question asker here, Simon, said, hey, boys, if we can afford to get Sarong to Baz, should we just launch? Now, I'm going to assume here we're talking about Caleb, Nathan, rather than Jai. Even despite his horrible record at NG Stadium, or do I save cash with a Parker type for a great run and carry over cash to continue my upgrade cadence in following weeks? So I guess all the way to the top, and then you have no cash left over, or a Parker theoretically better run than Baz, and then having a bit of extra cash for next week.
Without knowing what you can do with the cash next week, if it's a definitive, I can, double upgrade Walsh and someone else next week, then I'd be going for it. Other than that, I think it's just Sarong to Baz. Like, that would be a 60-point upgrade this week. I know he might not have the best record, but I just think he's capable of anything, and particularly with the way that Geelong have been playing this year, he's one that if you're planning on watching that game, absolutely you have to trade Baz in. If you're not planning on watching it, like I would assume the most of people are, then maybe 50-50 if you can make some really good upgrades. But I would be getting in Baz. Just, again, to the theme of enjoying your weekends much more. I've been enjoying it a lot more with some of the big dogs in my team.
Yeah. Now I've actually reread the question. It could just as well be Jai. I guess it could be a high-priced Jai that needs to move on, or it could be a very low-priced Caleb who also needs to move on. So probably doesn't change the answer too much based on current form, I suppose. It's weird to see Caleb Sarong in 800, low 800s. He might even dip under 800K this week, which is crazy areas. But anyway, happy to do either, Simon, in terms of trading those Sarong boys. Jaden's question is for you, DC. He said, DC, my Lord and Savior. So we had to answer this one, of course.
I like Jaden.
And others below him. Hey, wait a second.
Oh.
There are two of us.
No, it's only been thrown to you because I'm clearly above him, so he's not asking me the question.
Okay. Would you rather trade in Dunkley and have HHK as your last rookie in defense, or trade in Little Helmet Man, aka Gnome,
Also known as Gnome, apparently,
and have a Herbert in my midfield as my last rookie? So Daniel and Herbert, DC, or Dunkley and HHK?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Do we think Dunks is back? Have we seen enough the last couple of weeks? Because I guess that's really the question here, isn't it? I think he's gone a couple of tons
back
in a row.
I think he has improved drastically, and his cash is rising nicely, and he's still at a very good price. I'm still not convinced he's going to be a 105 guy, but I guess when you look at Caleb Daniels' price versus Josh Dunkley's price, I probably think Josh Dunkley is going to score more for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I think I'm probably leaning towards Dunks. Just what is he, 881? I mean, last three, 115, 130, 92, even an 87 before that, you'd be okay with, I think, at that price. So I'm probably him, and I think HHK on field is probably the better option as well. So I'd go that way, but both of them are pretty speculative.
Yeah, but I think if it's the way of getting like your last rookies off field and you've got HHK next week, who's your next, and that way you've gone from 2 to 1 to 0, I'm okay with it for sure. Obviously, depending where you're at, if you're going more of a sideways move and just holding HHK, then I just see what your other options are there, Jaden. But for you, Nathan, rock and roller, and I'm sending this to you because I need someone to make sense of it, and only you possibly can. He wants to know, is Zeke Hewland the John Noble of Sam Banks's? Which, I mean, you're going to have to then decide which whether John Noble is good or bad, whether Sam Banks is good or bad.
Not to be confused with the Sam Bankses of John Nobles.
Yes, we couldn't possibly get that the other way around. But he said he's thinking he's a nice 23rd option for a couple of weeks, and obviously has an incredibly low break even after that monster 146, I believe, on the weekend.
Yeah, it was a huge score. Exactly what I would expect the John Noble of Sam Banks's to put up. Which
I think he made 100K this week at like 5. He was 521, and now he's 621, or something very similar to that.
I have been toying with getting him in to my team this week if I was able to. If there was a second mid price that I didn't mind just going bananas on to get an extra rookie off field, I wouldn't mind doing it. I think this is one of those moves where, if you're ranked the top 1,000, that's the sort of one that will either make or break your season. If you've got an extra rookie on field, I don't mind it as also a cash gen, because if you don't have the cash that you're really thinking about to do it, very least in 2 weeks, he probably makes another 100, 150K. If he keeps the roll up as well, it sort of seems a little bit safer than some of the other options that we've got. We know that they love to chip it around, and particularly with some of these rookies, if Gold Coast are going, well, all right, let's just let him have a run at it. If they've given him the green light, what's to stop him? Because he'll obviously fade out towards the end of the season as rookies tend to do. But if he's got the tank and he's got the stamina, yeah, I don't mind rolling into it this week.
Yeah, I think it's a hard one.
Gun junior scorer as well.
Yeah, I think, I made the Sam Banks move in the hope it was going to be a heap of cash, DC. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. I think we were very hopeful at the start of the year with Zeke, but his tank was his concern. And obviously, they've built it up throughout the year.
A bit of role stuff as well, like playing a lot on the wing.
Well, but I think that was because of his tank. That was probably let's put him into a role where he's going to build up his tank, but give him low time on ground and slowly but surely give him something where we see him impacting us. Because I think for keepers, he was a really interesting pick, because that over his career, he's probably going to be a jet, but year one was always going to be a struggle. And it's just, do we think he's hitting that peak, or do we think this was more of an outlier? Because that's the answer to this question, I think.
I mean, I think 146 is always going to be an outlier for almost anyone, but he did have 86 the week before, and there was that bit of a shift towards the back line. He's not getting involved in any of the kick-ins, which is not ideal, I think, if you're trading into a distributor in the back line. But, a lot of his ball is in the D50, and we know that they can chip it around. So, I wouldn't talk you out of it if you're super keen. It's just obviously there's a bit of risk there, particularly at this stage of the season. I think early in the season, first 10 weeks of the season, I would have been all over this sort of move. But it's just now you're no longer competing with other mid-prices and rookies for that spot. You're competing with full-blown top 6 level premiums.
Yeah, I think if it's your 23rd and your 22nd is solid, so you don't have to use that cash elsewhere, I love it. It's a cash gen play at the very least. It's a potential scoring play, and you're not having to make that score. But on the right week, he might give you a score as well. So I think that's good. But if you're 22nd or 21st a week and you could use that cash to improve them, I think that's where I'd still prioritize it. So bit of a unique one. Nathan, he'd probably be your 21st at this point, wouldn't he?
I was going to say he actually is my 19th, so I was going to ask if he's okay if he's your 19th. Joke. Actually, I was checking to see what it would be. You make 100K going Farrow down to him, which seems like an upgrade.
Yeah, and if or I don't know what the numbers are because of the swing from the weekend. But I was about to say, could you do like Farrow to Hewland and then Whitfield to Naz for those that missed out? Because if you could do that, I'd sign that off. But I'm thinking that probably what Whitfield lost would be just too much, depending what you had in the bank, of course. It'd be pretty tight. If anyone's got those numbers on hand, yeah, it's 170k, I think, to get up. So if you could do that with cash in the bank, I think we'd all sign that one off. No problems at all. One question from Chris is about friend Jason Mraz, of course, from Hawthorn. Famous.
I do enjoy that you can bring him in and sit him right next to Noah Kahan as well.
it's just
a very musical backline.
Full of musicians, exactly right. Is he going to hold a position after that performance? I think yes, we can say that. He was fantastic, did an absolute job, and was quite good from a fantasy perspective. Need to lose Banks ASAP, and holding Whitfield could work if he does. I guess what I would say is he was a key back. He had 12 marks. Yep, a couple of the big names missed this week as well. I think he played such a good game, he'd be absolutely shockingly dropped if he was. But he's not a scorer. So if it sounds like you're bringing in Mraz to like score for you while Whitfield is out, DC, I would not sign off on this. Whereas if he was just your D8, you need to save the cash on Banks to get an upgrade, then yeah, absolutely, no problem.
Yeah, I'm looking at him for that sort of option because I need a defender to sort of improve the flexibility of my team with DPP. So. And one preferably to go on the bench. So I'm looking at him for that sort of reason, but I agree with you. I don't think you want him on field covering for Whitfield this week because I think that's the sort of situation where he could drop you a 30. If you can loop with him, then I'm okay with that with another player, but I wouldn't be relying on him by any means.
Yeah, that game was absolutely unique in millions and millions of ways. So I wouldn't be using much of that data to influence what you do this week with your trades. I wouldn't have thought. We have a couple of ruck questions and then one last one before we move from a highly ranked coach, might I add, to our trade or spade segment. But the first question from John, I think it's a great question here, boys. He said, I have Grundy, English, and McAndrew. So he's rolled through. He's played the Sanch playbook here. Who do I trade out into another line? Noting, of course, there's a fair bit of cash on all of their heads. I'm keen to do a quick whip around here, Nathan, because that is a very interesting discussion. I think English at fullback for half the game on the weekend doesn't fill me with confidence, but on paper, you'd typically keep him over a McAndrew. So what would you do if you were John in this scenario?
Oh, it's really painful having that. And English up against the Eagles this week. Is he better for the run? McAndrew up against the Suns. Oh. I honestly think it's 50-50, but just based off how sore he looked on the weekend, I think it's English out. Unless there's some news throughout the week, English is feeling much better. He just needed the run or he got a bit of a niggle, but he's all good now. Unless that sort of a news comes out, it's very clear they're going to protect him a little bit. I don't know, Jake, if you see it any differently in terms of the Dogs having to play that and having to play him there in that position. But the fact that they were willing to put him at fullback, not even full forward, but at fullback, makes me very, very nervous from it. I think McAndrew there is at the least a safe 80, 85.
Yeah, it's such a strange one for me, and I really don't know what to make of it. Obviously, Charlie Curnow had a field day in the first half. I wonder if they thought the extra tall timber of Tim when he was getting towed up by Grundy could just change the dynamic, and we did pretty well tied the second half. So maybe it's something they experiment, but I just don't think it will be. I think he goes back in, and the one thing that I find really hard about this is that McAndrew is worth more than Tim English. He's got 40k on Tim English's head now. So that's the bit that I really struggle with here because on paper, you'd expect English to bounce back. But McAndrew has probably been the pick of the season. Obviously not unique, but in terms of cash generation, I'd be surprised if he doesn't win the Michael Barlow. Very hard to just change the mindset of keeping the rookie here, DC, and trading the bona fide premium who's having a bit of a slump. That's what I'm really struggling with for John's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably at this stage of the season looking to fixture as well. And as you said earlier with the Bond, they've got Eagles, Suns, and then the Tigers, and the Suns are not the tough matchup they used to be for rucks as well. So 3 pretty soft games there now for English. So if he is fit enough, he should, I would say, average 100 plus over those 3. Then gets a little tougher maybe with going into Freo, the Roos and the Blues. But probably at that point, you might be looking at sort of trading in a Gawn or someone like that to finish the season off anyway. But I'm probably looking more at run, and I think English should be okay in the next 3 weeks.
I mean, McAndrew has outscored English by 75 over the last 5 weeks across them. So it's not a massive, massive drop if, even if you do keep English. But you are very much just holding on for hope at that point. So, fingers crossed it pays off for you. I'd be very nervous.
The interesting part too is that like the benefit, but the negative is that's a 500k swing to get a rookie, probably 550 when you're just getting it to be 30k or in. So what are you going to do with the cash on the other side? That's probably the bit that has me most intrigued. And I think what you have to remember making that trade is even if it's a 15-point swing to your point there, Nathan, for McAndrew or English, you're getting much more than that on the other side of the trade by using the 530k point upgrade. I need that. That'll get me out of the Jake ranks. The 530k upgrade will get you such a significant points upgrade on the other side that the 15-point loss, even if you go the wrong way here, will considerably be outweighed. So I think that's something to kind of factor in as well. But I think McAndrew is the safest just because you know what you're going to get from him each and every week. Tim English is the ceiling. So I think it depends where you're playing. Tim English is the hope that he goes really, really well. If you're kind of somewhere in the mid-tier, you just want to finish the season strong, I think it's okay to play a straight bat as well. But yeah, bit of a tough one. No clear answer, unfortunately, from that. But a slightly different one, all rucks, but none of those 3 names is from Forrest. And he says that DC has to go. He actually said Cameron, but I prefer the thought that he really was trying to start a coup here, DC. He said the question is, do I go Marshall or Gawn? If Marshall, the second trade is Rao to Washcroft, whilst if it's Gawn, it'd be Reed to McKercher. A genuine head scratcher. Will I allow myself to be burned by Kirch again? As someone who has Kirch, I would be going Marshall on the basis that you're getting a nice upgrade on the other side, and I do not want to bring in McKercher. But I guess a little bit more linearly, DC, how long do we expect Marshall to score as well as he did on the weekend versus what we expect Max Gawn to do for the rest of the year?
Well, I think a lot of that's going to be tied to TDK's timeline, isn't it? But I mean, the other thing I was thinking as that game was going on, if he has 2 other barnstorming games in the next couple of weeks while TDK's out, are they actually going to bring TDK back in and suddenly throw Marshall back forward 70% of the time? Like, I think it's a good reminder to Ross of how dominant he can be around the ground, particularly once the ball hits the ground. So I think Marshall will be okay. And I think at worst, I'm hoping he's going to keep a slightly bigger piece of the ruck pie once TDK comes back, if he has a couple of other good weeks. So I'm probably going the Marshall move and then Rao up to Washcroft against Essendon this week is a genuine captain option. So I think I'd do that option.
Huge potential upgrade there. But last question, Nathan, is from Nathan. So it is going to come to you, Nathan. First trade is Whitfield to Ashcroft. So tick, moving Nas to defence. What is the best trade out of LDU to Heaney or Goulden, Durham to Marshall or Warner, or Dacos instead of Whitfield, and HHK to Colby? I am ranked 36th overall. So it's an important question here. Is hat territory the one?
Nathan's not good in these areas.
Well, the one
it's
Nathan.
An important question. And yeah, sorry, you guys are all getting questions from coaches ranked outside Jake and the Jake ranks. Where meanwhile, the top 100 coaches know who they listen to, know who they get that.
He didn't ask you the question.
Taking this.
I just gave you the question because your name is Nathan. Don't get too excited, mate.
No, that counts. That counts. His name wasn't Nathan, but unfortunately, being ranked so high, his name has merged into being Nathan. I think it's clearly option 1 of those 3. I think it's LDU to Heaney.
Straight bat. I like it.
Yeah.
I think I am with you. I think Durham has been fine for a forward, albeit a little bit disappointing. I don't want to tell people to bring in McKercher because I have done it twice this year and I've been disappointed both times. And Dacos only 1 week ago had an absolute monster. So yeah, LDU has the biggest swings in that list, and I think Heaney maybe has the biggest ceiling. So straight bat and go get yourself a hat, Nathan.
I will say Zoha started this game forward. So I think the experiment might be close to being over. So I would expect Colby a little more on that defensive line confidently. That being said, I'm still all in on just go for LDU to Heaney. But I will say that I do think Colby's going to be a little bit better going forward, which probably impacts Caleb Daniel.
Yeah, well, Nathan, we haven't announced this to our listeners yet, but we're doing a quick mini gather round for Hat Chat this week. We're going to be in Melbourne watching some footy, and I'm going to be there with you boys on Friday night screaming Colby McKercher's name in the hopes that he can finally put up a ceiling score, whilst I need him to cover Whitfield, only to my knowledge then having Hugo Hall-Khan dropped like a 150 on my bench and being unable to loop him on because I'll have Kirch.
And then you'll understand my frustration.
Yeah, but then Sarong will get 150 and it'll be the funniest thing that's ever happened.
Hey, if it did happen back-to-back weeks, I'll accept that it might have actually
that might be kind of funny. That would almost be funny. Yes, yeah. Everyone will be coming down and crushing the Casa del Nathan. Not the 36th ranked coach Nathan, me. Just to clarify. Yeah. So very, very excited for it. North Melbourne v Collingwood on Friday night, which will be a game of football. Then Saturday and Sunday, probably better games of football that we'll be watching.
I don't know. Sunday is Western Bulldogs versus West Coast. I'm not sure that on paper is. I mean, it'll be
not sure if you've seen any of the last 4 North Melbourne games.
Competitive game between
almost football.
Competitive game between us, Jack. I don't think we've actually seen our two teams play each other when we've been together, have we?
No, I don't think so. Could be an interesting one.
Good.
We'll see. There may not be a show next week. One of us would disappear.
It's a good time to remind you that the Eagles beat the Dogs in Melbourne a couple of years ago when we were really, really, really bad. Not just really,
and we
really
needed
bad,
to win
like
to make finals. Yeah, we lost and we didn't make finals. Thanks, DC. Well, now to disappoint me even more, I'm going to throw to my good friend Nathan to finish this show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to everyone's favorite segment. Cameron, you can now switch off. Just in case you're wondering when Trade or Spade was coming, it's now. You can leave. We'll see you back on for the Wednesday pod. But for the 99.99% of the coaches in the top 100 that are remaining listening to this segment, welcome to Trade or Spade.
Trade or Spade, let's play. It's back and here to stay. Trade or Spade all night. DC and J, see the light.
That's it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Trade or Spade. Unfortunately,
that's it. I just thought you wanted to play the song. That's it. That's the segment.
That would be really dumb of me if the fact that DC did not put any players on the run sheet for Trade or Spade that I just asked for the theme music and then stopped. That would be really bad.
It would also be great for Cameron because he's sitting there like
he won't know. He won't know. I was debating also doing it for that reason, just being like, well, Cameron doesn't realize that he can do it. No, of course, we will have a normal proper Trade or Spade just because DC writes the run sheet and normally puts all of the players that we do Trade or Spade against, and he hasn't done that this week. Doesn't mean that I'm going to take Trade or Spade any less seriously, even though DC has given up. So, DC, to you, and this is mainly because someone above put trade or hold, and I would like it to be known that that is not the segment that we do. DC, Whitfield, trade or spade?
Spade, if you've got good cover.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That has been trade or spade.
Nicely done, Nathan. It was a week that we had 98% of Whitfield questions, as most people would be. And for what it's worth, I agree with DC. So good stuff, boys. Good stuff, Nathan. And
Didn't,
good stuff,
didn't try to,
Cameron.
it was a quick segment. You're making it longer.
No
It was
one
a
asked
quick
you, Jake.
segment, but you made it longer.
This is post the segment. This is me hosting, segueing. You know, the thing that you want me to do. Anyway, last question for the show is from friend Trobber. Trobber does ask a few questions as well on the pod. And he says he is now only 11,712 ranks behind Jake. And he would like Nathan to please.
That's not a good
convert
season,
this-
Trobber. That's a long way behind Jake. It's like
Would
double
like
Jake's
Nathan
rank.
to convert. Well, this is the thing. Wants him to convert it to a Melican scale of measurement for clarity because he's not sure if he's still a chance until he gets a Melican reference. So Nathan, as a double rank of Jake, how does that fit from a Melican performance?
Let me just come up with a random new metric. Obviously the opportunity there is to look for the easiest metric, which is how many career fantasy points Lewis Melican has had. And then you divide that by the number. You start with the ranks that you're different from Jake, divide that by the number of Melicans that you've got, which is 2.58. So you're approximately 2.58 Melicans behind Jake.
Very clear.
Yeah, I mean, 2.5
Succinct.
sounds a lot better than
Makes sense.
11,712. So I think,
Again,
Trobber, you're
that
still
is
in for a
career.
chance.
That is 10 seasons of games he has done.
Yeah, but 2.58 is a much lower number than 11,000, so it sounds better.
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, Trevor, you're still in with a chance. Whether that's a chance of beating me, winning a hat, or being back for 2027, we don't know, but you are still in with a chance. Boys, great episode, great questions. Thank you again to our listeners. I think the questions are getting funnier as the season goes on, which either suggests that we are getting funnier and our listeners are wanting to join in on that, or we're getting less funny and they're trying to help us out a bit. But either way, I appreciate it, as
Both
I'm
are good.
sure the boys do as well. That chat live, as we have moved to, in case anyone hasn't seen it yet, is of course on YouTube. DC, how is that going?
Yes, we have almost 5 followers now. So please come and subscribe.
Not
To our
a round
channel.
number. Not a round number. We're almost fine.
Almost 5. Unlike my rank, it is not an integer. Yes, so it would be nice if we had some more followers there. So make sure you go on YouTube, give us a subscribe to the channel, and then you should get notified when we have a show going live. Same time, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern.
That's it. And if you want to watch Monday nights, us drinking, talking, laughing at Nathan, all of the other things that we tend to do on a Monday night podcast, then yeah, go on, jump on in, have a bit of fun. Boys, the other thing we obviously already mentioned is Hat Chat in Melbourne. We're not doing any shows this week, Nathan, but we are going to be crashing Casa del Nathan, as you highlighted. A couple of games, if people are attending, to look out for, how were we described the other week, fellas? The second best coach.
Silver medal, the
Silver medal.
Chrysalis.
Whatever you were,
and the
DC.
host.
I don't know what I was. Sad.
Yes, Chrysalis. Yes, that's right. Yes, we'll be going to the Friday night game, as you mentioned, Nathan, Collingwood North, and then the G on Saturday night. Is that right?
Yep. We'll be there enjoying all the best that the MCG has to offer. And then Sunday we'll be going to Marvel, I think. Really just wedging it in around one good game in the middle, and then we're just punishing ourselves with our teams either side.
That's it. It should be a great weekend. Always is with you folks, and hopefully our listeners will enjoy the fruit of our labours on next week's pod. Hopefully there'll be some banter and some inside jokes to run through from there. And before I get to our socials, I will do a quick thank you to our second partner for this season, who of course are our friends at Peak Solutions. They've been very busy around end of financial year and the start of financial year 27. So please do reach out to those fellas over there. They are looking after business health checks. They're looking after new business development, and they'll be keeping you busy in 2027. Please reach out to them on their socials at Peak Solutions. Please reach out to our other partners at Game Day Squad or hashtag GDS Fantasy on theirs, or DC. Where will our listeners find you on yours?
Yes, you can find me at DC Caterpillars.
and seat 30F on the Friday 2 p.m. No, I don't know what time he's
Come
flying.
buy me a beer.
Jump on if you're on the Canberra to Melbourne flight.
You would throw
Friday
it off with
afternoon.
a plane. Like not at the game you would find him. You'd find him only on the plane flight. That's kind of
Yeah, exactly
I
right.
like it.
Because it's like a really specific place that he can't escape. So it's like the perfect time to go.
You can
hunting down.
you can also buy me a beer on the plane. I mean, it's a pretty short flight to Melbourne from Canberra, but I can probably sneak
Also,
one.
very bold of you to assume that planes to and from Canberra have enough people that they need to get in 30 rows of people, let alone the formation that would have an F of 6 seats. You can find DC in 3A, which is the cargo hold on that flight.
I'm not even sure a plane that big is allowed to land in Canberra, to be honest. I don't think our runway's that long.
I am
Pretty sure
certain
DC has
that
to fly it.
This is
In fact, it's not
slander.
even a plane. It's just one of those gliders. We take it up to the top of Mount Majura in Canberra and then jump off and hope that we get to Melbourne.
I can't wait for one of our listeners to be a virgin pilot and make a point of the fact that 737s absolutely fly into Canberra on a regular basis. But who am I? I'm I am not a plane guy at the end of the day. Nathan, that was a long-winded one. So where are they finding you?
Yeah, I also do what I have flown in and out of Canberra 12 times on 737s. So, yeah, but they definitely might not have 30 rows. And you can find me at Overmullet.
With a T. Of course, you can find me at Dunkley's Donuts, or you can find me in Melbourne this weekend hanging out with these fellas, watching some footy. You can, of course, find us at HatChat AFL on all the socials, including X, but only for questions because you'll see our live on YouTube. Thank you, fellas, for jumping on board this week. As always, thank you to our listeners for all of your wonderful questions. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday night or this weekend at the footy. Have a wonderful week. Good luck and cheers.
Bye.